Alyssa Ivanson continues our team coverage from Decatur.
The flooding is much worse in Decatur today. Yesterday, I was in this same intersection and the water was just barely to my knees. Now it's mid-thigh and it's even deeper the further you go out. Today, the community is really just rallying together to help everyone get through the flood.
It's creeping closer and closer to the building.
What a difference a day makes. Floodwater still rising in Decatur. Yesterday, the parking lot was still dry outside Standard Auto Sales. A few hours later, it disappeared. Today, there's more than a foot of water in and around the building. Next door, the Pizza King sign submerged. Sandbags surround the shop. People adding more to the walls today, but no smorgasbord for lunch.
It's a big hit. Flood insurance, I mean, it'll take care of stuff, but there's that loss of income and still bills to pay.
2 pumps trying to keep water out of the basement.
Seem to be keeping it out as quick as it's coming in.
An assembly line also emptied the refrigerators.
I got a lot of product in there getting ready for the weekend, so I don't want to lose it.
Jeannie Atkinson sits on her front steps, stranded in the Stratton Park neighborhood.
Eating out of the freezer since I didn't get to the grocery store.
A dumpster full of sandbags dropped off, and a creative way to get them to the homes across the flooded streets.
We have 3 entrances to the addition, and they're all 3 covered. It's frustrating, but you know, Mother Nature, she's going to do what she wants.
The floodwater didn't stop several people out in boats. The DNR and Sheriff's Department out to help evacuate anyone who wants to. Red Cross has a shelter at St. Joseph Gym on Monroe Street, but no one's come in yet. The water's still 2 feet shy of the record flood in 2003, but with more rain in the forecast, the water's not done rising.
I just kind of hoping I wouldn't see it again in my lifetime.
You know, hope and pray we get all through this and nobody seriously gets injured or hurt.
Adams County is still asking for help filling sandbags. There are several locations set up, but call emergency management officials before you go because they are trying to coordinate all of the volunteer efforts. In Decatur, Alyssa Ivanson, News Channel 15.
So Alyssa, what can you tell us?
We just got here to the intersection of Gaywood and Hamilton, and as you can see behind me, there's police tape up. Several blocks in this area are blocked off. You can see just beyond those cars down on the west side of Gaywood, just north of Hamilton, is the Fort Wayne Police Department's emergency services team vehicle, as well as the crisis response team out here. A block over on Smith Street, we saw several officers dressed up in the riot gear. They had their guns ready to go into the house here on Gaywood. We were told that there was a report of shots fired in the 3500 block of Gaywood, and that's when the officers arrived and responded to the scene. They were able to narrow down where those shots might have come from to one house on the street that it appears to be where they are focusing their attention now. As of right now, though, we have not been told that officers have entered into any house, but obviously the emergency services team, the crisis response team on the scene here at Gaywood and Hamilton, and we are talking with officers as things continue to develop. So when we learn more information, we of course will bring you updates later in the newscast if anything does happen, as well as follow me on Twitter and Wayne.com, and we'll have the latest information for you there as this developing situation continues. Live in Fort Wayne, Alyssa Ivanson, News Channel 15. All right. We have an update to the breaking news happening on Gaywood right now. Out here live at the scene, you can see a lot of police officers, the emergency services team coming out of the house right now. We just got off the phone with police. We're told that the situation is over. They had responded to reported shots fired and went into a home to search the home, not sure of exactly the situation they might find inside, but no one was found inside the house. Again, the situation on Gaywood is now over, we're told from police. They're all leaving the house now, and we will still work to get more information on everything that happened. We'll have the latest tonight at 6.
Alyssa Ivanson was the first reporter to see these scenarios in action and brings us an exclusive look. Alyssa?
The whole idea here is to get to victims more quickly. The training today was very realistic, with mannequin victims, fake blood, and actors to simulate the stressful situation of an active shooter. An active shooter in the building.
Hurry, get right over here.
Victims down, waiting for help.
We know that these things do happen, and we would be remiss if we didn't prepare ourselves. Firefighting is all about preparation.
This is the first time for this kind of training in the Fort Wayne area. Firefighters going into the building with police protecting them.
a new strategy in responding to mass shootings.
We would wait till the police officers actually rendered the whole building safe before we would make entry. And that was at the cost of the victim that was lying there waiting.
Now teams of 4, 2 police officers and 2 firefighters, will go into sections of the building already cleared by police.
The important part is that we provide that security, 360 degrees, 180 degrees up and down, and to make sure that they're safe and able to provide the care that they're there to do.
The first team in goes to each victim and gives battleground triage care.
Where's he hit?
Stopping the bleeding, making sure the victim can breathe.
How do I save this person that has the worst injuries first and get them removed?
Move and treat, and that's the whole key to that first team. But they ran back, they had 2 critical patients. That's when those second level teams will come in and extricate those patients.
A second triage area set up outside the building. The firefighters also using new gear, bulletproof vests and special medical kits for this kind of quick emergency care. They have 6 sets right now, but the department wants to eventually have 20.
It's going to bring care to the victims a lot sooner than what has been the standard in the past.
Today's training will be expanded in a few weeks with a mass shooting drill at Parkview Regional Medical Center. In Studio 15, Alyssa Ivanson, News Channel 15. Well, Uber officials told me today everything is Uber. It basically means great or super. The company says there are hundreds of drivers in town and thousands of rides have been given since May 7th. Now, we have our app pulled up here. This is a live look at the Uber app. All of these little cars right here, all of them available for rides. And today we tested it out and took a ride for ourselves.
See, and then those 2 guys just accepted rides.
Uber appears to be a big hit in Fort Wayne. In just 2 months, hundreds of drivers and thousands of rides.
I think competition is good for any industry.
Lori Atkinson drives for Ben's Economy Taxi and was an Uber driver in her spare time for about a month. She says she has not noticed a decrease in her taxi fares.
The Uber pricing is similar to Ben's until they turn on their multiplication. Like on a busy Saturday night, because the demand is higher, Uber will multiply your rates by 2 or 3 up to 6 times.
But AAA taxi driver David Souter says he's making around $200 a week less, his biggest hit on weekends when people are leaving the bars.
I used to do $250 on Friday night, and if I do $75 now, I'm doing good.
We tried out Uber today.
Driver en route.
We got picked up at the federal courthouse and rode just a few blocks downtown to One Summit Square. It was a smooth transaction, a nice driver, a clean car. The cost, a little less than $5. A lot of people tell us they use and like Uber, but the cab drivers say it's not fair that Uber drivers don't have the same requirements they do.
That guy right there could be an Uber driver. You know, there's no way to enforce regulating an Uber driver.
Cab drivers have a special chauffeur's license from the BMV and a permit from the city.
And Uber don't have to do this.
All Uber requires is that you have a personal policy on your vehicle. Nothing commercial, and obviously no licensing or anything like that with the city.
Here's our fire extinguisher.
Uber drivers also aren't required to have fire extinguishers, road flares, or first aid kits like cab drivers are.
And you have to have your car inspected twice a year.
Uber has not answered our direct questions about the exact requirements for the drivers, but several Uber drivers told me today they all did have background checks and they like being drivers. Richard Ridley Jr.'s story is one of perseverance through prejudice. He was given an opportunity and he made the most of it. He endured the racism and the resistance to change of the era, but he remained stoic and humble, saying he was just doing his job, a job he helped make available for future generations.
He was always my Superman.
There are many ways to describe Richard Ridley Jr.
Integrity, strength, extreme patience.
So brave, good person, and a compassionate person.
He's a trailblazer.
Richard endured. He does what's put before him, and he's a definition of a true man.
A pioneer. There are a whole lot of people that benefited from what he did.
October 1961. Ridley was hired onto the Fort Wayne Fire Department, the first African American to wear the badge.
I didn't think about being the first at that time.
In America, the climate was of change.
Racial tension across the country during the civil rights movements, and there were things taking place and changing very quickly around Fort Wayne as well.
Fort Wayne City Councilman Glenn Hines was a boy then. He remembers it was the talk of the barbershop.
I didn't understand the dynamics other than we were going to be involved in change.
John Knuckles was elected the first African-American city councilman in 1959. He and the community challenged the mayor to hire an African-American to the fire department.
We had 3 black police officers, but we had no firemen.
2 years later, Ridley was sworn in, making headlines, but being the change wasn't easy.
I expected that there was going to be some dissension when I came on. It didn't take long to figure that out. I knew that after a while it would change.
Ridley was assigned to fire prevention, not an engine house.
They didn't want to share a bed with me.
Ridley's first fire response didn't come for 4 months.
Wolf and Dessau was fired. I was still in the Fire Prevention Bureau at the time. They called all the off-duty firefighters, and so I went in.
It would take another year when Marvin Eady was hired in 1963 for Ridley to be assigned to Station 3.
I was on A shift and he was on the B shift, I believe. We'd share a bunk at night. When we worked in the night watch, we had to take a rollaway bed in there, so we could only sleep on the rollaway bed. And then they'd take that out when the other guys came in and had watch. That lasted 3 or 4 years. It ended up, they broke that up. We started serving like all the rest of the firefighters. We found out it wasn't that bad.
He persevered, and it would have been very easy for him to have lost his temper.
I don't know how he did it. Glad he did, though.
This wasn't the first time Ridley was first. Nearly his whole life, throughout school, the military, and the fire department, he helped pave the way for future generations.
I didn't think there was really anything special about it. I was just doing my job. That's all I thought about.
Ridley wasn't just a firefighter, he was an exceptional one. He rose through the ranks to district chief and developed the department's physical fitness program, which is still used in part today.
I knew who I was. It didn't make any difference what anybody else thought. They'd eventually see who you are.
With Ridley leading the way, the fire service became a family tradition. His brother, both sons, and 3 nephews all joining the department.
I'm in the position I am today because of him. You know, he opened some doors for myself, you know, my other cousins, and other minorities as well. You know, and I'm grateful for the things that he endured to make it possible for me to be able to do something I always wanted to do growing up.
But in the last few decades, diversity on the department has declined. Women and minorities make up about 15% of the 350 firefighters.
The problem that we've had on the Fort Wayne Fire Department with diversifying the department is getting that message out that this opportunity exists to the minority community.
A lot of kids would come up to you as a minority firefighter and say, hey, I mean, you know, I can't believe you're a firefighter. You know, I never knew you could do this.
Chief Eric Leahy says a recruit class around 6 years ago showed that 900 people came to take the written test. Fewer than 100 were a minority.
This is a job that a lot of minorities don't even know or think about it. You need to recruit, get the word out.
Which is exactly what the department is doing, planning to go to job fairs and other community events leading up to hiring a new class next year.
It is not specific to one race or one gender, that there are people out there that are capable of doing this job. We just have to find them and let them know that the opportunity exists.
Reach out more to the different communities, you know, because I know diversity doesn't just mean, you know, black or white anymore.
We want to make sure that we're hiring the best people and make sure that we're hiring, again, those individuals that reflect our community, the qualified minorities. That's important for our job. It's important for what we do.
And important to not lose the legacy behind badge number 210.
I just think that everything that he did was exceptional.
Lessons given to me by my father. Do the best that you can do. Be courteous to everybody. Have faith in yourself.
Now today the department gave Ridley a special honor. Our story that you just saw was shown at a special viewing party as a cover to surprise Ridley with the first ever Pioneer Award. Ridley's family, fellow firefighters, and members of the community were all there to recognize him.
I appreciate the fact they thought it was worthwhile to honor me. I didn't think I'd done anything. I think what I accomplished was done by treating people the way you want to be treated.
Richard will also be featured in a Hometown Heroes mural in the Urban League's new computer lab. We'll be right back.